So for the last 6 years of my life, I would call myself a very hardcore person. I spent like 6 to 12 hours a day on Pokemon Go for 4 years straight while working 2 part-time jobs and also studying. So it was quite a lot at the time. Then I wrote books and articles, it's very fast paced, and now I'm pretty much spending all my free time on making these videos every day or at least every other day. But I never in my whole life burnt out. That's what's strange about it. I have family and friends tell me that you must chill out, relax, take a break, you're going to hit the wall. For some reason I never had this bad day or reached that. But I also have friends and family members that burnt out despite not working as intensely as hard as me or so I think. So why is that? If it's not work and how much of the work itself that is to burnout, what is it really? Actually, I do know quite the answer because I attended the flow course Zero to Dangerous over 1 year ago, and combined with my own experience, we'll together explore what science says about burnout and most of all, make sure that you never burn out. And in case you have hit the wall already, we'll also cover how you can get back on track in the fastest way possible. So what is burnout really? It's not like we are going around with flames all over the place. But according to science, what we call burnout is what they call a prolonged response to chronic interpersonal stressors on the job, and is defined by exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficacy. So already here we got this kind of answer because we have 3 factors plus time. We got the overwork itself, which many believe is the one and only cause of burnout, but now we got 2 others. We got cynicism and we got this detachment thing, this lack of control. And I remember especially in June last year when I was going through 2 major changes, and aside from just graduating from university, I was considering to quit Pokemon Go, the game I pretty much dedicated my life and soul up until that point. Keep in mind it was like 4 years. And quit my part-time jobs as well, and one of them being a transcriber for various projects. But it was not like I could not work hard, because at that time I was doing less and less of it, and because I wanted to prioritize my schoolwork and my bachelor's thesis at the time. It was more the sense that it didn't really matter anymore. I already achieved what I wanted in Pokemon Go and did not really see the worth of spending so much for something I did not look immensely forward to. And it was the same with the transcription job really. Regardless of workload, I didn't find it attractive anymore to spend 5 hours every day just endlessly typing like this. So I just quit both of them. And in hindsight, it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So this massive extra overload does not contribute to it alone, but rather is feeling resentment, feeling like, oh, why should I do this? And I wasn't involved in this decision, and now I sort of have to live with this kind of torture. That kind of resentment. And I had this rule, and that's probably something I had unconsciously for a very long time, of stopping everything I do to reconsider every time I feel a slight sense of resentment, because it's like the frog who doesn't really know that it's boiled until it's too late, because it's slowly, gradually up the volume. So you want to be very cautious about these resentment feelings that can be swept under the rug, because we don't want burnout. And on the flip side, if you work a lot but generally not feel any resentment at all, but instead love for the entire process as a whole, we will not burn out, as we will see later in this video. Because 50 years ago, a woman named Christina Maslach made some groundbreaking discoveries. Aside from stopping the famous Stanford prison experiment, she became heavily involved into what these people and many others felt this chronic state of exhaustive despair and dread. And after years of studies and analysis, she developed this called Maslach Burnout Inventory, which is an assessment all of us can take to see if we are burnt out or not. And this inventory is globally recognized as the #1 measure of burnout after 35 plus years of rigorous research, and used like 88% of burnout research publications. And in there are 6 triggers that must be there simultaneously in order to experience this chronic fatigue and burnout: lack of control, values conflict, insufficient reward, work overload again, unfairness such as nepotism and favoritism, and a breakdown of community when you can't really communicate with people anymore. So as you can see, it's quite a complex issue really. And to truly solve burnout, these triggers must be reversed. And the research is clear, fortunately, that burnout can be resolved, and all comes down to rest, sleep as our life depending on it, because in some cases it might be. Take it easy, rest as much as possible, take some time off, take some sick leave, do not be on your phone, certainly not like social media and TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. Just keep it all there, maybe go into nature and reconnect with things that are still all around, to not feel this incessant feeling in this cloud of guilt. I can tell you that as long as you like the experience, it's very paradoxical, I must say. Sort of enjoy that you have this extra vacation. Let's go back to each trigger again. For lack of controls, either strive towards self-employment or change boss. This is one of the most beautiful aspects with Pokemon Go and YouTube and other kinds of creative and self-directed pursuits, because especially for me, I am the one dictating how I should do every day, and as long as this autonomy is respected, we don't need to worry about that. So that trigger is sort of resolved once we are in our own driver's seat, so to speak. And for values, you might just leave if you cannot change it. For example, if you have found yourself working at a gambling company, totally distraught by the interpretation of ethics or lack thereof, you might say, you should leave as soon as possible, because resentment is not something that we want. And for insufficient reward, you should definitely request more of it if you feel like you're sort of underappreciated. But I also think that it's good to have some humility and not this sense of overt like ego and entitlement, and maybe admit that maybe the others are right. I could go on and on right now, like literally on and on, complaining about all my hard work, all my sacrifice, and I don't have millions of subscribers yet, and claim that I sort of been unfairly treated, but it's kind of pointless really. I mean, you guys are the one deciding whether I deserve it or not, and until then, I just keep going and loving the process. I mean, it's all coming down to how we can best play the cards we've been dealt with. But if it's truly work overload, and now I'm talking like several days with almost no sleep, like eating junk food and no exercise, of course, totally stressed that you're behind, well, of course, take time off. But it's quite amazing how much we can work if we got this core 3 of health, which is sleep, diet, and exercise, at a very good place that works for us. And even during my most intense month of Pokemon Go playing, I still slept roughly 7 hours per night. Aside from this basic recovery, you can pretty much have the fuel to just keep going and going and going and not distract you from anything else. But regarding unfairness and also breakdown of community, it's important to speak up. This can also apply to people like around you. If you feel your friends and acquaintances do not have your best interests at heart, like, it's important to speak up about it rather than being tormented, because after all, we are the average of the 5 people we are engaged with the most, or at least interact with on a regular basis. And personally, I don't find it hard to end friendships if not serving for both of us, but I also understand it can be really difficult. I mean, really difficult. And yeah, it's your life after all, not your friends and parents, so that's that. So to be completely immune to burnout, we want to reverse these 6 triggers. We want massive autonomy. We want work that we find truly meaningful and fun. We want good reward, and by the way, a good hack is reward the process and enjoy the process with small wins all the time. Then we got the work overload, but that's of course subjective, and of course you should sleep and all of that. But other than that, if you like what you're doing, just keep going. Then we got the fairness and the support system if you're having this ideal situation. So for us new creators, we're pretty much in charge of all of that. And I hope that you can see by now that resentment is much greater danger than work itself. And if you not want to do anything else but create, that is an awesome life that we can enjoy right now. So here's a good answer you can tell your family and relatives as you're coming home for Christmas. By the time you see this video, I'm also home for Christmas, and we'll probably get a lot of questions like, you changed, you're burning out soon because you're doing so much of this YouTube thing. But now, whenever we are all faced with this doubt or all that stuff, we can say, look, we eat, sleep, and exercise to our needs, and we absolutely love what we do beyond almost anything else. And science clearly shows that we not burn out, but win instead. And with that said, Merry Christmas, and of course celebrate it a lot. And be the fire that lights up the happiness of your closest, and know that you will not burn out.